There is a specific kind of person that society often struggles to understand, the one who is really single. For these individuals, singlehood isn't just a transitional phase or a waiting room where they sit until the right person arrives. It is their most authentic and fulfilling way of life. Dr. Bella DePaulo calls this being single at heart, and it represents a deep internal pull toward autonomy rather than the traditional romantic yearning most people take for granted. To look at the psychology of being really single is to look at a spectrum where personal choice and past experiences intersect, creating a lifestyle that is defined by freedom rather than lack. This journey exists on a spectrum between a secure choice and an avoidant response. For those on the secure side, being single is a product of high self-actualization. They feel expansive and free when they are alone, viewing solitude as a vital restoration for their mental well-being. Their wholeness comes from their internal passions and a diverse intimacy. They don't funnel all their emotional needs into one partner, but instead build rich, deep networks with friends, siblings, and their community. When someone shows romantic interest in them, they don't feel fear. They feel a peaceful indifference or a mild flattery, simply knowing that a partnership doesn't align with the life they are building as their own sole architect. On the other end of the spectrum is the avoidant response, which is often a protective strategy born from past betrayal or childhood neglect. Here, singlehood feels less like expansion and more like relief. Being alone is a ceasefire, a way to stay safe from the suffocation or inevitable hurt they've come to associate with closeness. For these individuals, a romantic advance can trigger a visceral ick or a sense of panic because their brain has categorized intimacy as a threat to their survival. Their independence is a fortress, a wall built to ensure they never have to rely on anyone else again. While the securely single person is moving toward a life they love, the avoidantly single person is often moving away from a pain they fear. Ultimately, whether it's an instinct, a choice, or a protective shield, being really single challenges the societal idea that we are all halves looking for a whole. It recognizes that for some, the most important relationship is the one they have with themselves. These individuals aren't glitches in the human machine. They are whole people who find that their best work, their deepest growth, and their greatest contributions to the world happen when they have the room to breathe. They've realized that the loneliness of a bad marriage is far heavier than the solitude of a good life, and they are brave enough to choose the path that actually sustains them. If you lean toward secure choice, you are likely single at heart. For you, being single is your optimal state. You aren't avoiding love, you are simply prioritizing a different kind of life, one defined by radical autonomy, diverse friendships, and personal projects. You don't need to fix anything because you aren't broken. If you lean toward avoidant response, you may be practicing self-protection. This isn't a flaw, it's a brilliant survival strategy your brain created to keep you from being hurt again. However, if you feel a secret longing for connection, but your body shuts down when someone gets close, you might be dealing with avoidant attachment. The goal here isn't necessarily to get into a relationship, but to heal the fear so that being single becomes a choice rather than a defense. If you are right in the middle, most people are, you might value your independence deeply while also carrying some old scars. The two can coexist. You can love your freedom and still be protective of your heart. So if you're really single, stop looking for the exit sign. You aren't broken, you aren't cold, you are just the architect of a different kind of life. One where happily ever after doesn't require a second name on the lease. Maybe you aren't avoiding love. Maybe you found it in a place most people are too afraid to look. Right there, in the mirror.